hello. I thought we were live. I hope we haven't missed qualifying. I don't know why. Yeah, apparently the stream went down or something because... Okay, well anyway, here's your qualifying result. Muttrum's on pole, followed by Santini and Lons. And then in the Div 2, it's Van der Geest, Talviti and Matsies. The race is getting started. And it's go at Sebring. Away we go for 1 hour of racing. Santini alongside Muttrum, and it looks as if he may lead into turn 1. It's going to be very close between the two drivers, who are separated by less than half a tenth of a second in qualifying. Santini running wide, Muttrum taking the tighter line, and it will be Muttrum who leads. Tim Muttrum keeps the lead. Wide in the background, we've got contact. Someone's around. I think Mazurek was off, and there's other cars off in the background. Yeah, Mazurek, Matsi, Stojanovic, Jonzo, Morris, Van der Geest. Van der Geest, our pole sitter in Div 2. Matsi's in there as well, so carnage at the back. You often see that at Sebring. It's a difficult turn 1. But anyway, the race continues. Now, as I was saying, I don't know if you saw qualifying or not. I'm really sorry if you didn't. I was streaming, but obviously it didn't register or something like that. So if you didn't see it, then my apologies. But anyway, the race continuing here at Sebring. Muttrum leading, followed by Santini and Lons. And the top Div 2 appears to be Tony Talviti by only 0.6 of a second from Jos Ergos, who's just been passed by Jari Lakkonen, with John Van der Geest spinning down the order from the start. Not entirely sure what triggered that, but anyway, as much of a shame as it is, I believe we were streaming during qualifying. I don't know why it wasn't showing up. Anyway, whatever the case. So, Muttrum from Santini and Lons. Let's take a look quickly back to the Div 2 runners. We've actually got Lakkonen slightly in between the Div 2 leaders there. Talviti and Ergos separated slightly, and Shepard, who had a slightly poor qualifying by her standards, is recovering and managed to avoid the opening lap carnage to get through to P3 in class, and is now going to P2 up the inside of Jos Ergos, and through she goes. So Shepard up to P2 now, behind her main championship rival Tony Talviti. Jos Ergos may be coming back on the exit there in the escort. Still side by side there, Maxime Tendil looking, watching and waiting on. Let's take a look back at the leaders just to make sure that nothing happens. Muttrum and Santini. Oh, Muttrum breaks a lot earlier than Santini there. It almost looked as if Santini wasn't expecting it. But anyway, Santini looking very racy on the tail of Tim Muttrum as they head onto the second lap of this relatively long Sebring circuit. Michal Mazurek and Denis Matsies are in the pits after the first lap. Hopefully they will be able to rejoin the race, but I am not sure about that after seeing what I saw on the opening lap of the race. Mazurek is apparently back in the race now. He has rejoined. Denis Matsies is out. Big shame for one of the developers of the mod, who was looking so competitive in practice, because he is our first retirement from this race, with the exception of James Russell, who appeared to retire before the race even got going. But anyway, so Muttrum leading from Santini by 0.7 of a second. These two look as if they are about to have a ding-dong scrap for the lead of the race. Santini and Muttrum both have one win to their name in this series. In fact, we've had 8 different winners from 4 different races. Work that one out. With of course the 2 different classes, each having their own winners crowned every time. But anyway, Max Shepard right on the back of Tony Talviti as well. I want to see the end of this lap between Muttrum and Santini first, but then we'll take a quick look. And James Russell apparently is in the race now. Car 28 has just been gifted to Russell, so whether he'll start the race but 2 laps down, we shall soon see. I suppose it would be a shame, but he theoretically could, I expect. Muttrum and Santini's laps almost identical there at the end of lap 2, as they scrap for the first to set the fastest lap of the race. Here is the battle for the lead in Div 2 between Talviti and Shepard. Shepard faster than Talviti's lap there. and the fastest Div 2 lap of anyone so far. Out of the notoriously bumpy turn 1 and towards turn 2. Turn 3 coming up here will be Christensen corner, named after, of course, Tom Christensen, who won here so many times, I think 5 times potentially, if I'm remembering correctly. Good evening to Riccardo Gengotti and Brett Metcalf joining us in the chat, but I can't speak just yet because look at Jos Ogos going to the inside of Max Shepard and taking second place in class. Jos Ogos takes it back again, just as Shepard took it a lap ago. Shepard not done with it yet though, although that's a long way around, and there's a Porsche right there. Lebioda recovering after the first lap carnage. Lebioda's going to go past both of them with the supreme power, the superior power, and Shepard not able to take advantage and go through in all of that, but they're close again on the exit, with Lebioda getting a slightly poor run. Ogos back to the inside, and that is going to be holding him up and keeping him tight with Max Shepard. Now here's a first section of the course. This is where Lebioda will start to pull away again and maybe catch up to Talviti in front. But Shepard and Ogos continue their scrap. Here we go again onto Allman Straight. Slipstreaming. This is where Shepard got past at the end of lap 1. Tim Muttram sets another fast lap of the race, trying to pull away in the lead. Shepard to the outside. She knows that Ogos is still there, doesn't turn across. Has to turn in sometime though. And there we go, very clean. They're still side by side for second in Division 2, and Shepard all the way around the outside. That is a wonderful overtake there. And Ogos had nothing about that. Just so much grip from Shepard's car. Lebioda there just passing Talviti as well. But yeah, great overtake from Shepard. Let's see if she can keep it in second in class this time. Back to the overall lead, Muttram and Santini. BMW M1 versus Ford Capri, 2 similarly shaped cars. 2 similarly fast cars as well. Muttram only just leading from Santini, who just can't find a way to get alongside Muttram, but Muttram a little bit twitchy on the exit there. That's going to hold them both up ever so slightly. They've pulled out a gap to third place. Laurent Lunds 4 seconds down, and that gives them the breathing room to just scrap between each other, between themselves, and not have to worry too much about what is going on behind. Mark Jonzo, I think, has had a little off. There he goes through the gravel in the older spec Porsche, the K2. But he rejoins the race. And James Russell is indeed in the race. He started 2 laps down after his disconnection, but he's in. Now look at Santini with a mega slipstream. Goes to the outside. Muttram knows that he has to go defensive. He senses the attack and had a much better, much higher top speed down the straight there than Santini. I wonder whether Santini is better in braking and cornering, but Muttram better in a straight line. On to the start-finish straight again. Santini with a quicker lap than Muttram that last time around, and his personal best. Lon's also setting personal best. It's far too early in the race to be talking about that though. Pretty much every lap at this point will be everyone's personal best. But Santini really challenging Tim Muttram. On to another lap. Shepard's last lap, 2 seconds quicker than Talviti. Surely Talviti made a mistake there. But this is Shepard's chance to start attacking Tony Talviti. Is he going to do it? Is she going to do it into turn 2? That would have been ambitious. She was getting very close. It's attack or be attacked though. We've seen that Jos Ogos is not afraid of attacking Max Shepard so far in this race, and actually Ogos has got a good run there. They do have Filip Stojanovic trying to come through as well in all of this. Ogos almost side by side with Shepard. Stojanovic goes to the inside. Needs to remember the difference in speed between the cars though. And Ogos has to back out of it. Stojanovic will go past him. There we go. Stojanovic gets one of them cleanly. That gives Shepard a little bit of breathing room for now. Tony Talviti is just up ahead. Now can Shepard try to take advantage from this situation? Allow Stojanovic through cleanly and quickly and then follow him past Talviti. I've seen it done before. The overall lead is very close again as I speak. It's one of the races where you don't know where to look, but this is getting very tense here. Stojanovic, one of the quickest drivers. Oh, and Shepard's lost it! No! Shepard going around and into the barrier. Well, touches it slightly, and that, I'm afraid, is horribly reminiscent of how her race went the other day in the non-championship race at Suzuka, where she'd get herself into a good position and then spin it all away. And Shepard, who lost it all by herself under braking, is now down to 4th in class as Maxim Tendel has gone up to 3rd. Here comes Tudor Morris. Morris in a different class to Shepard. Let's keep an eye again on the leaders. Santini once again close to Muttram. But I really feel for Shepard there. She's been so frustrated with herself recently and frustrated with racing in general. And it's a vicious cycle, you know. If you're frustrated, you're more likely to make mistakes, and that's more likely to make you frustrated. And it just kind of goes around and around until you can somehow break that cycle. I know personally I got myself into one of those cycles in late 2018, and the only way I actually got out of it was by taking a 6-month break from sim racing. But hopefully Shepard can get her head back in the game sooner rather than later. Let's talk now about this lead scrap again. It almost doesn't look as if anything's going to change for the time being. Santini seems... Well, he was looking racy earlier on in the race, but now he's just seeming content with driving around right behind Tim Muttram. Muttram, though, not content at all. He is going very defensive down the straight. I think he knows that if Santini does get through, it's going to be so difficult to get back past him again. These cars not hugely easy to follow in. And overtaking Matteo Santini is difficult at the best of times. He is a very quick racer. But anyway, Muttram and Santini across the line, separated by just under a second. The battle still on between the pair. Laurent Lund still 3rd place. And the top 3 in Div 2 after Shepard's spin. Talviti, Ogos and Tendel. I think Kirill Kirillov is recovering from a little slide there or something, because he is now being passed by Mihail Mazurek. And actually, looking at the 2 Porsches there, Mazurek and Jonzo, there is a slight difference in the rear wing design. The K2 has a much more kind of rounded, slightly wider but less aggressive looking rear wing. It's an interesting thing to note there. But anyway, I believe Shepard just got past Maxim Tendel. Indeed, Shepard ran the outside into turn 1. So back into a podium position. Tendel not having much to say about that, but not taking it completely lying down. Tudor Morris right there as well, complicating things. And back to the leaders once again to make sure that we don't miss anything. So, the race continuing. The 2 of them close as they have been for this entire race. Close as they have been for this entire race event, since they were so close together in qualifying as well. Less than half a tenth of a second separating their best laps. And it is certainly seeming like more of the same in the race, which provides us with some more excitement and tension as well, because the tension is building with with Santini not able to get past Muttram just yet. Personal best lap of the race again for Matteo Santini. 0.3 of a second faster than Muttram that last time around. And it looks almost like Muttram's more defensive than Santini is offensive at this point in the race. He's definitely feeling the pressure. And Phil Brown, I think, has just had a spin from 4th place. Oh, into the pit lane. Now that's going to be an awkward position to get out of, because I think, unless he manages to reverse down the track, he's got to go through the pit lane. Oh, and he's out, I'm afraid. So Phil Brown has had an accident at the final corner, has ended up on pit lane entry, and is out of the race. And that's a shame, because he was doing a good job there in 3rd place. 4th place. And now he won't get any points at all. James Russell also out of the race after starting 2 laps down, I'm afraid. So, hello as well to Massimo Boni, who says, Dai Santini, porca Madonna. Go Santini for Madonna, I think. But anyway, I may be wrong about that, but yeah, we've got a couple of Santini fans in the chat, Boni and also Gengotti, both cheering on Matteo Santini, who is all over the back of Tim Muttram still and goes up the inside. His first proper overtaking opportunity, and he seized it with both hands. Matteo Santini takes the lead of the race, but we've seen that Tim Muttram is very, very quick down Ullman Straight. He may come back to him here on the inside, and he's going to be through before the corner. Look at that. Santini did get all the way past Muttram, but he had nothing to say for Muttram on the exit. Muttram straight back through again, and that has got to be frustrating. That's got to be so frustrating there. And Santini, well, he's gonna go for it again on the exit, but Muttram's so quick in a straight line, and I always say it's so tough to so tough to pass someone in the corners in relation to the straights. Sorry. Just searched up Porca Madonna. Apparently that means Holy Madonna. Anyway, sorry if I'm misunderstanding what you're saying there. Hello as well to Lala or Lael, who is joining us as well. So, Tony Talviti in the Div 2 category. Another personal best for him, as well as Jos Ogos. They're still pushing each other, even though there is a 3-second gap between the two of them. And Max Shepard also pushing as well, trying to recover from her incident. And drops behind Mazurek. Now that's to be expected. Mazurek in a much faster car, recovering from the opening lap incident. Kitamura's not able to follow him through. But yeah, all of the top Division 2 runners still pushing in this race and trying to improve on their class positions, or keep their class position in the case of Tony Talviti. The leader's just about to encounter the first lappery. That's Kimi Martikainen, who may be crabbing a little bit. I think, no crabbing, he's just getting out of the way there on the right hand side of the road. And Muttram and Santini continue on their way. I think there will be a decent amount of lappery today. It's not, I mean, it is quite a long circuit, but there's also quite a big difference between the Div 1 and Div 2 cars, about 5 seconds in practice, as Martikainen now comes into the pits. Fastest lap again for Tim Muttram. Muttram and Santini trading fastest laps at this point in the race. And Muttram has it for the time being. Through Christensen corner they go again. And while it's calmed down a bit, let me quickly research how many wins Christensen did get at the Sebring 12 hour. Because he got a lot at Le Mans, which was what he was more famous for, but Sebring was also a wonderful track for him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, including class victories. Wow. Quite a dominant record that Tom Christensen had here. How many did he get at Le Mans? Just out of interest. 9 class wins at Le Mans. Wow. Anyway. Back to the racing that we're seeing in front of us. 20 minutes, so that's a third of the race, has flown past. And Tim Muttram still leads. Oh, and Santini's made a mistake. He's on the grass. Does he save it? He's bouncing, and he has lost a second or so in that big mistake from Santini, and that gives Muttram the breathing space that he's been longing for so long. Mazurek stopped on track. I don't see what's happened there. Has he lost the engine? Yeah, I don't hear anything there. So Mazurek there has lost the engine somehow, and gets it back. I hear him idling. Whatever the case, Muttram once again sets the first lap of the race, and he now has a 3.6 second lead over Matteo Santini, who just ran slightly wide to wheel on the grass and did well to save it, but it was long gone after that. Let's have a look at the battle for 4th place. This is, oh, actually Van der Geest just passing Tendil there, and Kirilov falling through. So Tendil losing a couple of places, and Mazurek is indeed out of the race, I'm afraid, along with potentially Martikainen, who's been in the pits for a long time. So I think we've got 16 cars left in this race. Yeah, battle for 4th still going on. Anstey and Lagodin. Good drive from Lagodin so far, actually. He's often a bit further down the order than this, but doing well up in 5th place so far. But yeah, after the first third of the race, Muttram is leading now by 3.8 seconds from Santini. Then it's Laurent Lunds quite a way behind now. The leader's really getting away from the rest of the pack. As Tony Talviti there has actually passed Jari Lakkinen, not for class position, but Talviti doing amazingly to get into the top 8 overall in his Division 2 car. Anstey 4th place, just ahead of Stefan Lagodin. Then we've got a fight for 6th between Labioda and Stojanovic. Then it's Tony Talviti still leading Division 2. Jari Lakkinen splitting the Div 2 leaders. Jos Ogos are 5 seconds back from the Div 2 lead in 2nd place. Judah Morris. Max Shepard is 3rd in Div 2. Then it's Mark Jonzo, John Van der Geest, Kirill Kirilov, Maxim Tendil, and then the retirements. And Mazurek is now back in the server, and whether that means he's going to rejoin the race or not, I don't know, but he's back in the server at least. Lagodin with a slipstream now on Paul Anstey, getting closer and closer, but not close enough into Sunset Drive. There's also a move going on in the background between, actually not quite, between Labioda and Stojanovic. Looks as if there might be about to be one. Down at the start-finish straight they go. Lagodin with a personal best lap. Just over 0.2 of a second faster than Paul Anstey. Kirill and Van der Geest have swapped. 2 of the Lanciers. Same car, very quick, possibly the quickest Div 2 car. It's close between that and the BMW, with the Escort generally not quite as competitive, but still, Van der Geest and Kirilov swapping places. 14th and 15th overall, just out of Maxim Tendil, who they passed not too long ago. And don't let it fool you that this is the tail end of the field. These drivers are by no means the slowest drivers in this race, especially Kirill Kirilov, who's taken 3 out of 5 pole positions in his class this season. It's just, of course, that there are indeed 2 different classes here. In terms of the winners that we've had so far this year, Tim Muttram, of course, won a round, and he leads the overall championship. Philip Stojanovic won as well. Laurent Lons has one to his name, as does Matteo Santini. And then in Division 2, Tony Talviti has one. Ted Ho has one, he's not here today sadly. Jos Ogos has one, and Dennis Matzies has one, but he is, he was our first retirement from this race. Fascinating that only one of our race winners in Div 2 has done the full season so far, whereas all 4 of them have in Division 1. But Tony Talviti still very much deserves the championship lead in Division 2, if you ask me. Would have been interesting to see what he could have done if, say, Ted Ho or Jos Ogos had made every round, but anyway. I think Ted Ho especially would have been able to really take the fight to him, no disrespect to Jos Ogos. Gradient drops to 1.5 seconds behind Anstey now, so not as fast through that sector, and that battle appears to have eased off for the time being. Kirillov and Van de Gies still pretty close on the back of Jonzo, and that's a spin for Tendil, and he touches the barrier. A little bit of a glitchy collision, but anyway, Tendil recovers to the road, hopefully none of the leaders coming through. Gets it in gear, and away he goes. First real mistake we've seen from him today. But anyway, rejoins the race with not too much damage, if any. The lead battles come down to 2 seconds, slightly less than that now, so Santini's still trying to reel in Tim Muttram, but he's by no means close enough yet to call it a real scrap. He'll need to gain a few more seconds, a second or so more on Tim Muttram in order to get back in the fight properly. And again, his last lap almost 0.6 of a second faster than Tim Muttram's, and that is looking very promising for the Italian there. On Ullman Straight, Lagodin once again slipstreaming Anstey, although this is the sector where he's not quite so quick. Laurent Lund set his personal best lap of the race, even though he is running very much on his own in this race. 12.5 seconds behind Santini, and 24.2 seconds ahead of Anstey. So very much on his own. Anstey and Lagodin setting pretty much identical lap times once again. Once again, Lagodin just not as fast down the straights. I wonder whether it's the Capri that's struggling down the straights a little, because we saw that Santini wasn't as fast as Muttram down Ullman Straight into the start-finish straight as well. But Lagodin appears to be having a similar problem behind the Ferrari of Paul Anstey, and he's dropped to 1.5 seconds behind again, just as he did a lap ago. And he's going to gain that all back again by the looks of things as well. Kirillov and Van de Gies could still change, fighting over 4th in Division 2. These two have been going at it for a while. Personal best for Max Shepard again, according to the message at the top of the screen. Van de Gies with the slipstream from Kirillov, although a slightly slower lap. Kirillov really pushing that, his personal best lap of the race. Now we're not expecting pit stops here today. You can make pit stops, and we did see one at the first round of the championship, but it may well have cost Lewis Dufour the win at Brands Hatch. Realistically, you do not want to be making pit stops in this, and I think the only reason why anyone would is if they had damage, or if they really wore out their tyres, or maybe even miscalculated their fuel. But it's unlikely to be a factor in this race, so it is a straight fight to the finish. Lance once again, personal best, fastest lap, Santini once again within 2 seconds of Tim Muttram. It's status quo out in front, but that is to be expected for this portion of the race. The middle third of the races tends to always be the bit where it calms down a bit, and the drivers establish a rhythm, establish an order, and it's about holding on until the end of the race, when the drivers start to get a little more desperate, a little more feisty with each other, because that is when the race really starts to get exciting again. And when the order starts to swap as if it's the first lap. Maybe not quite that dramatically, but anyway. Now, the trouble with Van der Geest is that he's fighting someone in the same car as him, meaning that wherever he's strong, his opponent's strong as well, and wherever he's weak, his opponent will likely be weak as well, meaning that realistically you can't really gain that much on your opponent unless you do something much better than them. But anyway, Dennis Matthews in the... Oh, as Lebioda's got back past Stojanovic, so those two, I think they went side by side actually. Stojanovic was behind him at the start of this lap, but yeah, must have briefly got his nose ahead. Sorry, so Dennis Matthews in the forum says, "I'm out, I don't have the time to get involved in an accident by someone who doesn't have their car under control. Great race, guys." Yeah, so Matthews there not very happy with some of his opponents. We didn't see exactly what caused the starting the first lap accident, but anyway, Dennis Matthews understandably not very happy about it. Jim Russell says, "I was kicked and couldn't get back in until too late. Too bad. Hope it's a good one. Thanks for letting me give it a try." That's a shame actually. It's a bad feeling when you lose a race before it's even started just because of technical difficulties. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? Yeah, it was 2 days ago. I was doing a race in another SimRacingOnline race at the Red Bull Ring in a modern F3 car, and I had to miss qualifying because I often get this kind of simulated glitch where it all crashes before qualifying, and then it takes ages to load back up again, so I had to start from the back of the grid, and points definitely went down the drain to my main rival Mihail Mazurek in that. But anyway, Judah Morris has got past Jos Ergos for 10th overall. That's not a fight for championship position, but anyway, important for their individual races. Filip Stojanovic, theoretically much quicker than Lebioda. Again, no disrespect to Lebioda, but Stojanovic was several seconds quicker in qualifying. Kimi Diesel, so Kimi Matikanen says, "Yeah, I'm retired. This stream beats the struggle." Oh, well, that's a shame, but glad you're enjoying the stream. Look at Stojanovic. Well, he took another look at Lebioda. Lebioda knows he's still there. You can tell by the body language of the car. But Stojanovic had to let him go. Santini sets first lap of the race. 1.6 seconds is now his gap to the leader. Can Stojanovic have another go down the straight here? How quick is the Celica in relation to the Porsche? Lebioda dips a wheel into the grass. If he has an opportunity, it's now. Here comes Stojanovic. I don't think he's going to get alongside before the braking zone. That Porsche's looking quick. Porsches have very, very good mid to high range acceleration, but Stojanovic very, very tight. Gets underneath him on the exit. He's going to be on the outside for turn 1. It's going to be difficult, but doable. But he has to back out of it again. Lebioda still 6th. Stojanovic tries to get underneath him again. There's just no room there. Look how defensive Lebioda is going. Stojanovic putting his nose in, forcing Lebioda wide. That's far too wide for Lebioda. They're going to come together, are they? No, they're not. Wow. I don't know how they avoided that there. It looked as if Lebioda was going to skew straight across the track into the side of Filip Stojanovic. But he gets away with it somehow. He's back on the outside of Stojanovic now. Look at that. Back into 6th place. Moves across in the braking zone and loses it. He's run wide. And Stojanovic is back through into 6th place. That was a feisty battle that went on for a very long time. Several corners, they were side by side. Or front to back. And I did not know what way that was going to go, but it went the way of Filip Stojanovic. Lagodin there was briefly within half a second of Anstey. That shows me that he was almost directly alongside him. And once again, stuffed up the gearbox of Anstey's Ferrari. The Capri still not looking particularly quick in a straight line, but through the corners it's an absolute monster. So much downforce and ground effect and mechanical grip on these DRM cars, especially the Capri, which may have the most of any. Down towards Sunset Drive. That Ferrari's looking so streamlined. It's quite a small car in terms of its front profile. And that makes it very, very slippery through the air. And of course with the massive Ferrari engine in it as well. It's going to be quick. And so it is. Into turn 1. Lagodin once again losing some time to Anstey through that sector, but not quite as much as usual actually. He's only 0.8 of a second behind now, as opposed to the 1.5 that he has been through that section previously. So could this be a real opportunity this time around? Mazurek's just left the server, but he was already out of the race, so you can ignore that message you just saw at the top of the screen. But anyway, Stojanovic actually gaining on this pairing as well. But he's 7 seconds back. If his performance at Suzuka the other day in the non-championship race was anything to go by, then he can do it, and if anyone can, he can. But it's going to be tough, especially since he didn't seem to have quite the same amount of dominant pace here as he did at Suzuka. But still, we know that Stojanovic is a very quick driver, one of the beta testers of this car mod, and knows what he's doing. Anstey and Lagodin into the sector that tends to favour Anstey rather than Lagodin. Lagodin not able to get anywhere near as close as he would have hoped. He's going to drop back a little now. Did get a pretty good exit there actually. That's a really good exit. I think Anstey was a little bit skew-if coming out of the penultimate corner. Still a lot faster in a straight line, it's pretty obvious there, as he lost about 0.2 at the start of the race and then gained it all back again at the end. Across the line once again. Again, almost identical lap times between the two of them. You couldn't put a sheet of paper in there. 7 thousandths of a second. You can barely even comprehend how short that amount of time is. And he drops back again. I'm wondering whether it's the first couple of corners actually that Lagodin drops back in as well as the straights, because he just doesn't seem to like that sector much. Anyway, the race continues. We're almost 2/3 of the way through, and still Tim Muttram leads by 7 seconds from Matteo Santini. Let's take a look at Jari Lakkinen in the Ford Capri. Haven't seen much of him recently, ever since his battles with some of his opponents not too long ago. 35 seconds behind Mariusz Lebioda at for the time being, but still ahead of the Division 2 cars. for Capri started this championship with a little bit of a disadvantage to the rest of the field. It had quite poor tyre life, but this was corrected for round 2, and since then they have been much more competitive, and have actually picked up a win in the hands of Matteo Santini. Interesting to note, actually, all 4 of the cars that have won in Division 1 have been different makes. You had a Porsche, a BMW, a Toyota, and a Capri, Ford Capri. Good to see, actually. Versatility definitely improves the experience of a race series. And Jari Lackinen in one of the beautiful Ford Capris. I know this is a slightly weird thing to be transfixed by, but I love the steering wheel on this thing. It's simplistic, but it just looks so powerful. It looks as if he's got complete and utter control over the car with that thing. And I can just imagine how it would feel. Really, really beautiful steering wheel. Wrangling the car out of Sunset Bend again. Max Shepard has actually caught up to Jos Ogos. This is the closest she's been to him for well, since the spin, pretty much. And if Shepard gets past Ogos, I don't think she would have actually lost a place due to that spin from where she would effectively have finished otherwise. Now they're going to be lapped soon by Tim Muttram. You can see him coming up in the background there. And Muttram now leading by 10 seconds from Santini. Santini must have made a mistake that we didn't see, because 10 seconds is the gap for the lead. Wow. Yeah, Lon's a lot closer to Santini than he was as well. So yeah, something happened that we didn't see. But anyway. So at the end, at the 2/3 distance into the race, just over that, Tim Muttram leads by 10 seconds from Matteo Santini. And Laurent Lons 10 seconds behind that. Paul Anstey is 4th, followed by Lagodin, Stojanovic, Labioda, Lackinen. Tony Talviti still leading Div 2. Judah Morris. And then this fight for P2 in Div 2, Jos Ogos versus Max Shepard. There goes Tim Muttram on the inside, splits the pair of them. Let's see how quickly and cleanly he can get past Jos Ogos. Ogos knows the lead is coming through, he'll be getting blue flags. And you don't have to get out of the way for blue flags, but you certainly shouldn't make it too difficult for your faster driver. Yeah, Muttram there does go through into, well, he was already in the lead of the race, but he now has an even larger gap from Santini than the last time I looked. And heading onto the straight, he will pull away from this pairing. Now, we know that Shepard is fast in a straight line, but how fast? She's up the inside of Jos Ogos. This is where she passed him around the outside earlier on, and this time it's over before the corner. Max Shepard takes second, runs slightly wider. Ogos may come back on the inside, but I think that Shepard is going to have this done, especially since she now has the inside line for turn 1, and Ogos didn't even have the slipstream until now. Ogos does take a look back to the inside. Shepard, having none of it, shuts the door. So Shepard is up to second in class. There's 14.9 seconds between the top 2 in the class, but I think that this is what the order would have been even without Shepard's spin. And she will be satisfied with that win. That is presuming that Jos Ogos doesn't come back again, but he has every right to if he can. Up into the hairpin. On the brakes. Ogos does take a look, and Shepard's lost it again! Shepard goes into the grass again! In an almost identical way to the spin that she had earlier on in the race. Just locked up the rears under braking, and around it went. Max Shepard struggling under brakes. Possibly needs to put the brake balance further forwards. I wonder if she was just distracted as well by Jos Ogos poking out into the mirrors. But this is exactly like the Suzuka race the other day ago, where again Shepard would just get into a good position and then lose it. Well, here comes Matteo Santini. He is about to lap Shepard as well. Now, Shepard still in third place, but Jos Ogos much more comfortably in second. Paul Anstey and Stefan Lagodin once again close, but this time they've got Filip Stojanovic for company. I told you he could do it. And they have to lap Maxime Tendel. Now ignore the flying Ferrari's wheels there. Anstey, I'm afraid, has disconnected. Nope. I spoke too soon. He's back. So Paul Anstey still in the race and still in fourth place. It looked as if he was going to be dropping out of the race with connection issues, but luckily that is not the case. So Anstey still fourth. He passes Tendel. Here come Lagodin and Stojanovic. Tendel getting out of the way. Does he know there's two coming through rather than one? Yes. Good, good. Lagodin lost a bit of time to Anstey and all of that, and that leaves him very vulnerable to Stojanovic, who kicks out the tail. Now, will the Celica go past the expectedly slower Capri? No, because that slide gave him a very poor run onto the straight. Sunset drive again, sunset turn. Sunset bend, to give it its actual name, to be honest. But anyway. And down the start-finish straight. Max Shepard back within 3 seconds of Jos Ogos. But we'll need to drive a pretty much flawless race from now on if she's going to have a chance of taking second back. Surely this is Stojanovic's lap to get back into the top 5. You'd expect so. It also frustrates me a little that Lagodin and Lackinen have pretty much identical liveries. I think they may have identical liveries, which is annoying because they both start with LA. A little confusing, but Stojanovic goes to the inside and has to get out of it. Lackinen, talking of Lackinen, lost a place to Morris and almost lost a place to Talviti in that as well. Yeah, back to Stojanovic. He had to back out of that one. Knew that he was going to get his nose chopped off if he kept it in. So wisely didn't do so. And is back on the tail of Stefan Lagodin. Now they will be losing time to Anstey a little bit in all of this. So, well, I say that, but they just gain time on him. But the quicker Stojanovic gets past Lagodin, the quicker he can have an attack at Paul Anstey. I'm speaking, of course, as if it's definitely going to happen that Stojanovic is going to get past Lagodin, but he still needs to do the deed. He may be theoretically quicker, but can he do it? Down the straight again. That was a much better exit from Stojanovic that time. Lagodin had a little twitch rather than Stojanovic. And Stojanovic almost took a look. It looked as if he might be about to. Moved a little in the braking zone. Goes tighter. That's the move that worked on Lebioda, but doesn't work on Lagodin just yet. On to another lap. I was wrong about last lap being the one for Stojanovic, but maybe this lap. Still looking very racy, but in Lagodin's defence, he's good at defence. Putting up quite a fight there to keep his P5. Just 11 minutes to go in this race now. We're almost 5/6 of the way through this 1 hour race. Of course, when the timer ticks to 0, that will indicate that the lap the leader is on will be the final lap of the race. And the next time they pass the start-finish line, the checkered flag will be waving for them. So it's not exactly a 1 hour race, it's technically 1 hour and a bit. Anything up to 1 hour and 2 minutes, realistically. But anyway. Slight lock-up for Paul Anstey, but he is still under control in the Ferrari. The Ferrari 308, it's one of the rarer Ferraris in the world that not so many people have heard of. I wonder what engine they have in that thing. Knowing Ferrari would be something big, probably a V12. Let me look that up quickly. Well, the more famous version of the 308, of course, was the 308 GTB and 308 GTS. And I also thought there was a 308 GTO, but I may be wrong about that. And that car was flipping beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think there may have been a GTO, but anyway. Yeah, I can't seem to find anything about the LS version just yet. There was also a rally version of the car, the GTM, back in the days before all-wheel drive was the norm in rallying. Crazy to think of doing rallying in a Ferrari, but anyway, that's what they did back in the day. Sternavich still looking all over the back of Stefan Lagodin. Once again has to get out of it into the hairpin. Great exit, but that bit's just too twisty. You can't get alongside someone there, realistically. Oh, he goes almost onto the grass there, challenging Lagodin. Oh, and he's going to lose it, is he? Yeah, spins it around, a half spin. Lights up the rear tyres, gets it going again. He was so aggressive there. He thought he was going to go to the right-hand side of Lagodin, but Lagodin covered it off really, really nicely. Then Lagodin, of course, moved across to take his natural line, and Sternavich, in trying to brake later, locked up the rear slightly and went sideways. And touched Lagodin's car slightly, but they'll get away with that. But yeah, that may be Sternavic's last chance of getting into the top 5. And that's why he said, you know, as much as it looked as if he was going to do it, he still had to actually pull it off. Max Shepard now back within a second and a bit of Jos Ogos. Getting much, much closer there. Indeed, right on the back of Jos Ogos. So Shepard now has one more chance, realistically, of getting past Jos Ogos in the last 7 or so minutes of this race. Needs to make sure that she just keeps her head this time. If she gets through, she can't afford to lock up the race again and spin it around, because that would very much be her chance of second place over. Down into the final part of this particular lap. Shepard will be trying to do her usual trick of getting a much better exit onto the straights and slipstream past Jos Ogos. Here we go then, heading towards Pullman Straight. Could be a chance for Max Shepard. Ooh, that's a lot of curb. Ogos still defending. Shepard. And I think Kirilov has had enough. Indeed, Kirilov just recovering from that off now. Will drop almost to the back of the grid. Tendel still behind, but anyway. Shame for Kirilov, normally a little bit more consistent than this. That's okay. Everyone has their off days. Stojanovic is also caught right up to the back of Lagodin again. Let's take a look at that quickly while the battle for second in Div 2 is separated by more than a second. Stojanovic with the overspeed. That's very close there. Does he do his trick of ducking underneath Lagodin in the mid part of Sunset Bend? Nope. Not quite there. On to the start-finish straight once again. Surely Stojanovic is going to have a go now to the inside of turn 1. Keeps his nose in. I think kept it within the white lines as well, and Stojanovic does go through into P5. Stojanovic through into P5. And props to Lagodin for defending so hard for so long. Back to the fight for P2 in class. Talviti needs to be careful as well. Talviti is still leading Div 2, but he's less than a second behind Lakinen. Needs to make sure he doesn't get involved in anything there. But yeah, Max Shepard once again going to try to get a better exit than her rival Jos Ogos here. How much curb does she use this time? That was beautiful there. Beautiful exit to the corner. Slipstreaming Ogos. 0.4 of a second heading towards Sunset Bend. Ogos slightly wider midway through the corner. Now on the exit we'll see what the difference in lap times is. Shepard 0.7 of a second faster on that last time around alone. Very much challenging Ogos here. She knows that she can go faster, but she also knows that Ogos isn't going to take it lying down. Ogos has had a real turn of pace in the recent SimRacingOnline races he's done. So many shock results. And it's starting to look more and more familiar to see Ogos up the pointy end of the field. But he has a real job to hold off Max Shepard here. Shepard a little squirrely under braking. Keeps it under control that time. But I can see the fishtail starting to occur a little. She just needs to make sure that she doesn't get frustrated. Here we go then, on the exit of the corner. Shepard still trying to set up a move several turns in advance. She needs to really have a plan here, and Ogos needs to intercept that plan like it's a game of chess. I know that's a cliche, but you often hear that in sim racing and racing in general, because it's more of a psychological game than anything else. Tim Muttram, if he has a particularly slow lap this time around, this could actually be the last lap of the race they're heading on to. I don't think it will be, but it might be. It's more likely to be the penultimate lap, unless Muttram wants to back off a little to be safe. But that means that Shepard's really got to get a move on here. She knows that the time is ticking down. Muttram still leading by 16.5 seconds. That is quite something. Possibly the final lap for the Div 2 runners. It would definitely be the final lap if this was the overall battle for the lead rather than the battle for class lead. And Max Shepard's still not able to get close enough to Jos Ogos. Has actually dropped back a little in that sector. Final minute of the timer. When we get to the last 10 seconds or so, I'll take a look at where Tim Muttram is, just to make sure that he's not backing off. Because that would be a valid strategy, to back off a little, make sure that this is the last lap of the race, and and just play it safe. Make sure you don't have to go around once more and risk, you know, running out of fuel or making a mistake or encountering too many backmarkers or anything along those lines. Shepard close again to Argos, but she really needs there to be one more lap. Let's take a look at Muttram. Around the final corner, power down, and there will be one more lap. So Tim Muttram is about to cross the line and just makes it with about 4 seconds to go. So Muttram begins the final lap of the race, and that's good for us because it means we get another lap of this thrillingly tense Div 2 struggle. Oh, Argos not getting a good run out of that corner there. Max Shepard much faster out of there. Used a lot more of the road. Now Shepard, she won't be close enough here, so she's got to start thinking about setting it up out of the final corner. Sunset Bend. This is her best opportunity. This may be her last opportunity, depending on how the rest of the lap goes. Towards turn 1, I think she's too far back here. Now she's got to start setting up for the hairpin. There are still a couple of opportunities to go in this lap. You've got the hairpin, and you've got Sunset Bend for the last time. Now, let's take a look at Tim Muttram for just to make sure that we don't miss him crossing the line. I'm also keeping an eye on that gap between Argos and Shepard, don't you worry, but Tim Muttram, leading by 20 seconds, has been utterly dominant today. He had to fight for it with Santini earlier on, but when Santini started dropping back and making mistakes, and I think Santini may have made another mistake because he's now only 2.5 seconds out of Lons. Either that or his tyres are gone. Muttram was just able to convert it, and Lons has gone through to second. Lons, and that's because Santini stopped. Has Santini run out of fuel? I was wondering whether, I wonder whether he was fuel saving and that's why he was so slow. Maybe he's miscalculated it because he stopped on the road. So Tim Muttram is going to come out of the final corner and become the first double winner of the series. Tim Muttram, a wonderful drive. And he wins it once again. Lauren Lons will be second, but what is going to happen in the scrap for second in Div 2? Tony Talviti is going to win it, I presume. He's got one more corner to go. Just following Lackinen through. So Lons classified second. Anstey will be third. Anstey a surprise podium, but a well-deserved one. Tony Talviti out of the final corner. He is going to win Division 2. Well done to Tony Talviti. Also a dominant victor. And Shepard just didn't have enough for Argos in the end. She'll be kicking herself after those mistakes. But Jos Argos, just the cleaner driver today, finishes second in Division 2. Max Shepard is third. Not a bad drive, but a slightly disappointing one. And it's still not over for third in Div 1. Look at Anstey and Stojanovic. Anstey just too fast on the straight for Stojanovic though. Does he keep it clean in the final corner? Yes, he does. So Anstey is just about going to hold on to third place. Close finish though. Stojanovic will be ruining the first lap. Anstey third, Stojanovic fourth. Then it's going to be Lagodin and Lebioda. I think Santini's still stopped. Yes, he is. So Santini, I think he may well have just run out of fuel. It was the final lap of the race. Maxime Tendel is going to be the last driver to cross the finish line. And he will be last in the finishing order. Kira Kirilov, incidentally, didn't finish the race. I don't know when he retired, but that is a shame. So 15 of our 21 drivers are going to finish it. But congratulations to our dominant victors, Tim Muttram and Tony Talviti, as well as our podium finishers, Lauren Lons, Paul Anstey, Jos Argos, and Max Shepard. I think I'm going to give the driver of the day there to Tony Talviti for another dominant race in Division 2. Muttram, of course, also had to really fight for it, but Talviti was sticking it to the T1s or the Div 1s as always. And yeah, Maxime Tendel does cross the line there to he's the last driver who's going to finish it, because I don't see Santini starting that car up anytime soon. So there's your order: Mutram, Lons, Anstie, Stojanovic, Lagodin, Lebioda, Santini, Morris, Lakanen, Talviti, the winner of Div 2, Jos Ergos second, Max Shepard third, then it's Mark Jonzo, John Van der Geest, Maxim Tendel, Kirill Kirilov, Michal Mazurek, Kimi Matikainen, Phil Brown, James Russell, who didn't even start the race. Who did start the race, but 2 laps down, and Dennis Matzias, who retired after the end of the very first lap. So that is the end of the race and the end of the broadcast. Thank you all very much for watching it. The championships, both championships, will be decided in 2 weeks' time at the Zolder International Circuit, and that is going to be an exciting finale. Tim Muttram and Tony Talviti have pretty big leads after today, but I'm sure that it is still going to be an exciting race and an exciting conclusion to what has been a great series. Don't miss it. I will see you in 2 weeks.